Okay, so here we go. Well, Annie asked me to make a little video for the Freedom Fund here to help us raise some funds so they can hire a lawyer for a situation that I'm involved in San Mateo County. About 2 years ago, when I first moved out here, I had just been diagnosed with arthritis in both knees, and I was told that most likely within the next couple of years, I would need some sort of knee replacements. And I had another condition in my legs that the the valves in my veins do not allow the blood to flow correctly, and there's pooling of blood. And then on occasion, my legs would burst open and have these sores that would get infected. So I was not as mobile as I would like to be because of the arthritis, and I was taking up to 20 Advil a day in order to deal with the swelling and the pain. Well, when I moved out here, a friend of mine suggested that I try some cannabis cream on my knees, and I did. I did on the trip out when I drove out in the van, and I found in the second day that I was getting this incredible relief for the arthritis, for the pain. And I started to use it on my legs for the swelling, and the conditions began to get much better. Uh, so much so that when I moved out here, Melissa and I really began to get the guidance to provide under the Compassionate Use Act, Proposition 215 in California, to grow and provide for freely and for donation, topicals, edibles, and different forms of medical marijuana. And so we began to do that. You know, Many of you who know me for years, and some of you don't, who know me with what I've done and what's occurred to me with the Course in Miracles, know that for the past 25, 26 years, this revelatory experience that I had in Carmel Valley, as a matter of fact, where I was actually headed with, where it was one of the, where I was traveling between with the marijuana I was caught with, opened my mind, and I began to have experiences of guidance and direct communication with, Jesus, in my understanding, and certainly of the healing agency of the Holy Spirit. And I was guided to a book called A Course in Miracles, which teaches a way to get in touch with the true self, the inner guidance that we all require in order to live here, to be in the world, not of the world, and to follow Jesus's Christian directive to seek ye first the kingdom. So many of you know that, and it was through that guidance that I did once again, after 27 years of being sober, after 27 years of having overcome heroin addiction and drug addiction, and being abstinent for 27 years, I got the guidance to begin to use marijuana again, for medical purposes, and also to begin to grow it and provide it for people who would ask. Consequently, when I began to do the research, I found that marijuana, cannabis in any form, from juicing the raw plant up until ingesting it through smoking, has the ability to help and foster conditions within the body that allows healing to take place more readily than it would under conditions that where marijuana saturation of the cells wasn't available. Now that's just science, and we should probably include some of the science here on the site so you understand, including some of the testimonials that people have given us who've used the products that we've been making. And because we're getting incredible results from people who have exhausted, other traditional forms of treatment, people who are undergoing chemotherapy for cancer, people who have COP from nerve endings disease damage, Agent Orange damage, who have trouble sleeping, post-traumatic stress syndrome, irritable bowel syndrome. Ingesting marijuana seems to be able to help the body heal itself of a lot of these things for a number of reasons that is being discovered in laboratories around the world by scientists who are reputable. and you can, do the research. You could do the research yourself. So, in the process of doing this, there were several of us involved. In California, the laws under Proposition 215 allow those who have doctor's recommendations to grow and possess marijuana for themselves and also for people who belong to collectives that they may be part of. And that's what actually occurred. There were six of us who sort of been living in two different locations around Frazier Park, got together and we began to grow cannabis, and that allowed us a large number of plants. We were allowed to have, based on the law, 36 mature plants and 36 maturing plants. And that gave us an abundance of marijuana, of weed, of cannabis, that we began to, turn into different sort of delivery methods. We were making candy and caramels and cookies and brownies. Melissa has been making this cream that's being marketed in a number of dispensaries. Massage oil that we were told is useful for releasing cellular memory. Oils that people use both topically and internally for all number of conditions. So we were doing that, but we still had an abundance, because in order to make like the Simpson oil, which is sort of one of the basic ingredients in some of these things, as well as Simpson oil being a treatment for cancer in and of itself when used purely as the oil. It takes 1 pound of oil to make one course of treatment for one patient. It takes 1 pound of buds to come up with enough oil to treat one patient. So 35 pounds of weed would produce 35 treatments if that was what the use was for. And that's basically what we were doing with it. We were turning it into oils, creams, and other forms of other substances, other delivery methods that people could use and ingest. Now, in the process, the abundance that we had, we sort of moved. We moved to two houses. We have location where Melissa and I are in Frazier Park, as well as a place that some of the other guys moved up to in Carmel Valley. And in the process of transporting this weed between locations that was grown legally by collectives, I was stopped for being pulled on the side of the road with my light on, and they discovered and they took me in and I was arrested. Now, I've come to understand that I have to trust what goes on in my life, because everything has a purpose. When I was in jail for the time that I had been in jail, there really were miraculous occurrences and a great deal of learning that was taking place. So the truth of the matter is, if I have to go back to jail, I have to go back to jail. But in this situation, I really feel that the law would be better served by allowing me to present my case in front of a jury, to give them my perspective and my slant. I have been a not-for-profit. I've been giving away A Course in Miracles books for years and years and years, consistent with the guidance I received about that. And it's the same way, receiving the guidance that we have about what we can and should do with cannabis and how we should deal with it. We had this abundance based on, the grace of God and our ability to follow the guidance that allows us to make this stuff available. Now, there's glitches in the law because the law is being inconsistently enforced county by county. Now, even my first lawyer, the lawyer who I had, who was a private defender, which is much like a public defender, doesn't believe I should go to jail because the DA is convinced, based on looking at the books that I published and the things that I've done, that there was no intent to sell or profit motive. However, there still is the law, and they don't know what to do with that. Now, I feel, after interviewing a lawyer, after being given the guidance to, and after consulting with my friends, including Annie and Melissa, that the best way to go would be to find a lawyer who I could work with and who I feel would give me the best shot to at least present the case that I know I'm meant to present to the jury that's meant to hear it, and then trust that the jury is going to come up with the right answer. In order to do that, we need X amount of dollars, and at this point in time, I don't have the wherewithal to provide that for myself. So Annie decided that to help me, she would like to put on this sort of campaign, the Freedom Fund. I would appreciate anyone who feels they have the ability to help, financially or in other ways, to get in touch with us. Maybe there's things that we haven't thought of yet. But this is what we aim to do, and we appreciate your help. Thanks for listening, if you have listened. And, for the guys who know me, you understand. This is all about guidance. This is all about following the guidance and undergoing the experiences that we need to undergo for our own salvation, the healing of our mind, the salvation of the world. I have no idea what the outcome is supposed to be here, yet I know this is the right way to proceed because I've prayed and asked for guidance, and the assistance came when the answer to the guidance was made available to me. So, we'll see how this runs. We're going to check in from time to time. We'll make some other things available, some information as we go along. So I'd like to thank everybody in advance for the help that they give me or just for listening. Maybe there's something in here that interests you. Maybe there's things that, there's ailments that perhaps you don't know what to do with. That you don't find any medicine that actually treats, that treat it, that take care of it. We're finding that many people in those situations, when they talk to us and we discover a way that we could help them ingest cannabis, including juicing, which doesn't have any psychoactive effects at all, they're getting relief from these problems that they've been suffering from and did not think there was any relief from. So, this is the future. This is what's happening now. This is the changing scene and the changing times that we've all been prepared for. Perhaps this isn't the way we thought it would go. But, heal the sick and raise the dead. And this is one way for people to heal. And, that's why they call it the Compassionate Use Act. So I'd like to thank you all for listening. And if you choose to help, that's great. If you just pray for me, that's cool too. That can never hurt. Thank you.